tutorial to look at Google Meet within Classroom and some of the new features that you've got available to you. So if you've set your Meet up through Classroom, it's here, it's visible to students, and it means they've got one place that they can go where they know that they can join your Meet. What I tend to do though is keep the Meet link not visible to students, so I turn this off, and that's because as soon as you click that link, it becomes live. So as soon as I click this, any student that can see that link can also join. So if I wanted to join 10 minutes early just to set up, then I would do so whilst that link is not visible to students. So I know that they can't join, and that just gives me the opportunity to get on, get everything set up, and in particular start recording my meeting. And then what I would do is go back to Classroom, hit my settings cog, and make that link visible to students, so they know when they come on board at lesson time, they can just click on this and join my Meet. So a few things have changed since we all last used Google Meet, and I wanted to draw your attention to a couple of the new features. Down at the bottom here are your host controls. So you have more control over what people can do now. So you can turn off the ability for students to be able to share their own screens, and you can also turn off their ability to write in the chat window. I tend to keep those off by default because you can change them, and you can do it really quickly if you just go to the chat window, and you can turn the ability on and off here. You've also got the addition of activities. So breakout rooms currently cannot be recorded, so the advice is not to use them for safeguarding reasons. But polls and Q&A are available. So if you click on polls, you can just ask a quick question. Give the students some options. When you launch that, you have the option to end the poll, and you have the option to show results to everybody. Now, what will happen at the end of the Meet is that will all get sent out to you via Google Sheets. So it will all come in the meeting information along with your register. You can also save that one. So it might be that you've got a couple saved before the lesson, and when you're ready, you can launch that poll, and you can see they're live. So this one will end, and you can see which ones you've got going on. And like I say, they will all go to or be emails. If you can't find them in your email, you'll now find in My Drive that you have meeting reports. So you can go to any of your meetings that you've had recently, and in there you'll have the chat, any polls, any questions, and also your attendance register. So other new features are the ability for students to write questions. So sometimes it isn't always easy to see if people have raised their hand. So if you turn on Q&A, students can ask a question. When they post it, you as the moderator, you can hide the question. You can mark it as answered, so you might monitor the questions, give a verbal answer and click on it as answered, and you can also delete the question if it's not appropriate. Students have the opportunity to upvote the question if they think it's a good idea. You can also change your background. Now this option is unavailable to me at the moment because my webcam is broken, but you can choose a different background, or you can choose to blur yours, and this is really good if you don't want students to see inside your home. You can see a list of participants. Now I'm just going to join the call from my mobile phone. There we go. Just so that you can see what the participant list look like and the new opportunities you've got here to mute people, for example. So I'm just going to click on this one because the student didn't mute their microphone, so I can turn it off for them. You can't turn it back on. It's a privacy thing, so you can't just turn someone's microphone on. The student would have to do that if they wanted to talk again. And in here, you can decide that you've had enough of this person and remove them from the meeting. The abuse report would go to Google, so really you need to be using class charts and head of house if you need to, but the student will not be able to join that meeting again. So it's not a case of removing them when they join, they're then removed from the duration of this meeting. You can also now open up a whiteboard to write on, otherwise known as a Jamboard. Now you might have prepared one already, which you can open up from Drive, or you can start a new one. These automatically save within your My Drive. And if you've not used it before, it's a lot like an interactive board, so you can write on it and annotate things, and you can add pictures and sticky notes to the board. By default, what will happen is the students will get emailed the link to this board so that they can join, but they will join as view only. So if you wanted them to actually write on it, you would have to give them sharing permissions. When you've got grid view on, it's really easy to see if students use this option. So this is raise a hand. You can also see it in here. So I can see that I've raised a hand. I'm just going to lower my hand. But as you'll know, as soon as you start presenting, you can't see the screen. So the easiest way to get around this is when you present, just choose a tab. Slides, that's what I'm presenting for the lesson. I'm going to share it, but as you can see straight away, I've lost my Google Meet. So the easiest way to get around this is to drag out that tab, minimize it, so I can see this one, and then go back to my meeting tab and minimize this one. So as you can see, I can now see both windows. I can do my lesson whilst monitoring the chat and the questions and if people have got their hands up. I tend to not to use raise hand and instead use the Q&A, but obviously that's up to you.